So this is like not your first time in Montreal. You've been here several times before. Montreal is super special to you. So how does it feel for you to be back?
Yeah, I've been here a few times, and I've also technically lived in Montreal for like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe. Even though I was touring so much, I kind of kick myself now that I wasn't here enough. But it's so nice to be back. I've been living in Halifax now, so like driving through the city is like so wild to me. Like my head hasn't adjusted back yet. But it's great. Like it's the best city, honestly, in Canada.
Yeah. The last time you were here, I think it was a headline show of yours in 2019.
Yeah. Would I been with Ralph? Maybe was Ralph opening for me?
No, I think it was Matthew V.
Matthew V.
Yeah.
Matthew V. Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're with Virginia to Vegas and Noel. So like a very good Canadian lineup.
Yeah,
Why is Canada so important to you?
Basically, Virginia to Vegas, who is Derek, he and I have become close because we're always at radio stations together and festivals. And so just kind of dipping our toes back into touring after COVID, we didn't know if people were going to buy tickets. We don't, So we decided to share a tour, and we had a joke. Like, I was like, well, who's going to open and who's going to close?
Yeah.
And he was like, who fucking cares? Like, rock, paper, scissors. And so, like, we call it the rock, paper, scissors tour. And he discovered Noelle online. I think she was from YouTube. He was like, she was covering his songs.
Oh, no way.
He signed her to his record label. So it was a no-brainer for me to have her on this tour as well. She's incredible.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of the Scott Hellman tour when you guys flip a coin to decide who's headline.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah. That was a fun tour with Scott. Jeez.
So have you done rock, paper, scissors tonight?
We've done it already, and Derek won.
Okay.
And he was really hoping to because he's obsessed with Montreal. He wanted to go last and I think party out. So it'll be Noelle and then me and then him.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It'll be good.
I mean, I've seen you both here on your own headline shows, so I know you both have your own crowd, so I feel like just the two of them together is going to be such an amazing energy.
I think it'll be cool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you recently released Therapy, such a beautiful album.
Thank you.
I'm obsessed with Old Me.
Yeah?
Of course. I mean, it's the, not the title track, but like the main track.
It's like the single, the feature track,
Yeah. So, obviously this is so therapeutic for you to make, but it was also a frustrating creative process as well. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I was on the road so much, and I always had this thought about if I just had a few months off, it would be great. I could write like 1,000 albums. I had this in the back of my mind. So when everything shut down, I was like, this is my time. And it wasn't my time. I got really depressed. Mm-hmm. I was not productive. I wrote an album that was awful. You couldn't pay me to listen to those demos. And I sent them to a record label, and they told me, they were like, yeah, I don't think it's there. And that devastated me. And it was just honestly awful. I was not productive. I was not healthy. And right at the end of it, I sort of turned it around with The Old Me and The World Is Falling Apart.
Yeah.
Thank God those came out, because if I didn't write those songs, I would have been like the other one. I was like, no, we can't. We're not releasing for another year.
Yeah.
So I finally turned it around, but I was definitely surprised with how busy I need to be just to feel normal. I don't think it's healthy, but I didn't do well with the space. Did you?
Not really. I feel like I was the same. Like at first I was like, oh cool, like time off.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, like I haven't seen my friends in like so long.
Yeah.
Like it's devastating.
Just the social aspect, it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did the single Therapy come first, or did the album title come first?
I always title my albums off of one of the songs. Mm-hmm. Which my manager tells me is very boring. I think that pandemic to me was therapy.
Yeah.
And so that stuck out. It was like, it showed me that I needed therapy, and it just like made me confront a lot of things, that if I didn't have productivity, I didn't have self-esteem. And I kind of figured that, but it really brought it home that was the case. And I've taken that with me now, like much more self-aware of that fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad, and again, this album is so good.
Thank you.
No problem. Which tracks were the easiest and the hardest to make?
I wrote Therapy and Swoon with Jocelyn Alice, who's another Canadian, but was LA based for a long time. Mm-hmm. Swoon was hilariously fast, and to the fact that we were like doubled over laughing because Jocelyn wrote the entire second verse while I went to the washroom. I was like, should I even credit myself on this? Should I say like I wrote half and then I left?
Yeah.
It was very easy, and it's always fun with her, and she's so good. The Old Me was a bit of a struggle. I wanted to be really honest, but but really pop and accessible too. And I was just really struggling with I was feeling really insecure going back to my hometown. And I had my producer Corey, and my wife were both 9 months pregnant. Okay. And their due dates were the due date of this EP.
Oh, no way.
And the only thing missing was the old me was not perfect. So me and him were like, you know, he was like, this is the last day, I swear we're going to be in the hospital tomorrow. And I was like, you're telling me? So we were both just freaking out, trying to get it done before the babies came. And we did. So that was just the hardest song for all of those reasons.
Mentioning your wife and your baby, like, how are they doing at home?
Good. I have 2 little babies now.
Oh, no
Which is
way.
like, yeah, so they're both pandemic babies. So I went into the pandemic feeling like youthful and like a rock star. And I came out with like, you know, exhaustion and working through a bunch of stuff. But I feel like a completely different person, I think, because of that. Maybe not completely different, but my outlook is very different, and I'm certainly more worried about what's going on at home. Like, I have that sort of thing tying me back now. Yeah. But it's also wonderful. I feel very lucky to be able to do art and have a little family, and I'm just trying to stay in a place of, gratitude instead of missing them.
Yeah, literally like a rock star life, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many collabs on this. You mentioned Corey LaRue, Justin Alice, Ria Isabel as well.
Yeah.
So there's like Nova Scotians and then another Canadian but based in LA. So again, like, I think they're all your friends as well too. So how special is it just to collaborate with people you're so close with?
Yeah, I think on a lot of the writing sessions on the pandemic were over Zoom, and I just hated that idea. Yeah. And I struggled with it. And I was living in Toronto, and Serena Ryder, who was on The World Is Falling Apart, she was like my landlord for a bit. Like, it's all very close connections. You know, I wrote a bunch of songs and picked the favorites, but the favorites were all the ones I'd written with people I was close with, and I think that was no like coincidence. So it feels good to have. I've also, like, before I was ever signed, I was a massive Serena Ryder fan. She got successful very young, and in my head I was like, oh, a young woman on pop radio playing acoustic, like, that's everything I want. And so, to kind of come full circle and work with her was really special for me.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. My last question for you is, who are your favorite artists right now?
My favorite artists right now, I mean, I love Virginia Vegas. I'm a little biased because I see him all the time. In Canada, I've always been obsessed with Coleman Hell.
Oh, yeah.
I've toured with him a few times, and just being close to him in terms of, like, I just watch him a little more closely than other people because I think he's so brilliant and seems like he doesn't care what other people think, yet creates things that people love.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Scott Hellman. I think Scott Hellman is, what's the word? Like, he's terrifying to go after. Like, when we did that headline tour and I had to go after him, I was like, oh, I'd rather not. He's so talented. It's unbelievable. He's a real deal. And in terms of, like, Serena Ryder is the best writer I've ever worked with, for hands down. So, you know, those are very Canadian answers, but I'll stick with them.
Yeah, amazing. Well,